fair warning, this is the 7 millionth take, and all has to apparently do with the fact that you got 7 milliseconds of sleep, which I solely place on you.
Why?
I don't know, man.
I couldn't sleep, dude.
So?
It's not my fault.
I like... What the fuck,
This
man?
computer's exploding, homie.
Everything's going to hell right now. So we're going to just continue, because fuck that shit, right?
Hell yeah.
Anyway,
That's how we do things.
speaking of people that just continued and were like, fuck it, Broken Lizard is a comedy troupe, which, by the way, was a pretty big thing for a while, and then it just kind of died out.
Yeah,
you know,
what is it?
the guys themselves are kind of like just going back to their civilian lives with a couple of exceptions. So that's unfortunate. But hopefully the Lizard will return yet again. I mean, they did come back for Super Troopers 2. That's right, the guys behind Super Troopers, which is their most renowned film. You know, I think that's still a movie that a lot of people prize and hold high in esteem, despite how much time has passed since it came out. It sure as hell captured our minds. We were troopeites from the get-go.
Yeah, dude. Car Ramrod.
You know, there was very few people I didn't like Super Troopers. But we were troopeites from Puddle Cruiser, you know, and forward. So we're all about the Lizard. And we were damn ready to see what they had to offer after Super Troopers.
Yeah.
I think everybody was.
Yeah.
Everybody was reared and roaring to go. But that's probably why this movie didn't get as much love as it deserves.
Expecting Super Trooper 2.
Yeah, everybody was expecting the exact type of humor. And that's kind of something that we've come to expect out of comedy actors. You know, we expect them to just be the same thing over and over again.
Kevin James, always fat and unfunny.
Yeah, well,
apparently he's going to be in
a horror movie where he's like a neo-Nazi.
That's weird, huh?
I'm down to see Kevin James be scary.
Hell yeah, dude. He's definitely not gonna be. He's probably gonna be funnier than he was in Paul Blart.
Dude, neo-Nazi Kevin James, definitely funnier than Paul Blart. Fucking me getting shot in the face would laugh harder than I did during Paul Fart, as I like to call it.
I like how you couldn't even say it. That's how bad it is.
It begged me to call it Paul Fart, basically.
Stinky.
Anyway, I don't know how the fuck we got on Kevin James, but the point is, people expect comic actors to just play the same character, basically. And to be fair, comic actors, for the most part, do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Charlie Day, God love him, but he's just Charlie fucking from Sunny and everything he's in.
It's true.
It's not good most of the time. But anyway, the Lizards have made it kind of a point in every movie that they're in, at least together as a troupe, to play against type. So much so that they switch roles and you know, archetype characters around and just really, really go out and try to offer something new distinctly for each other, as a group, collectively, whatever. They're always trying to put something new on the table. And Club Dread, the follow-up to Super Troopers, was something new. And I feel that it's a movie that's kind of gone under the radar. It's probably their least appreciated movie. Maybe not their least watched, because, you know,
Puddle Cruiser
is still a movie that kind of people don't
Yeah.
even regard at all.
For
But
that baloney scene.
but we're talking about Club Dread, man. A movie that's, in all honesty, a damn good send-up, you know, parodical, almost satirical version of slasher movies. And it takes that assignment to heart. Because before it's a comedy, and it is a comedy, it's legitimately a parody, a dissection, I should say, of the genre. Like, imagine if Scream wasn't a serious movie. Everything that Scream said about slashers, this does, only, you know, pushing it to the limits of whatever they can do. So this is the way it approaches the material. As a result of that, the laughs that usually come with a Broken Lizard movie don't come in the same way. You know, the material's a little bit more clever. We still get the ass jokes and the pussy jokes and all that shit. The wieners. But they're much more in the background than they are forward here. You know, the humor here is a lot more clever, and it all has to do with the conventions and tropes of slasher movies, basically. And we usually don't review comedy movies unless there's something about them that sticks out as unique and or horrible, in the case of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But this one sticks out as unique because there's really not many horror comedies that were so mainstream, and so turned on the regular populace out there. You know what I'm saying? We have some, of course, but they're rare and far and few in between. This is one of my absolute favorites. It's my personal Broken Lizard favorite flick, but everybody has their own. I know that. But we're going to talk about this little flick here. If you haven't seen Club Dread, it's about a slasher I guess, infamy and myth that's called Machete Phil, by the way, that's loose on an island resort led by a Jimmy Buffett type, played by the late, great Billy Paxton. And that's right, Billy Paxton. And he's targeting, apparently, all the crew that runs the island. And the crew, of course, is played by Broken Lizard guys. And their requisite assortment of hotties, as is a Broken Lizard trope. So anyway, from that point forward, all you have to know is that if you've seen a slasher movie, you know how this works. And if you've seen a Broken Lizard movie, you know how that works. Now smash them together, and that's kind of what's offered up on the table here. Whether you like that or not, well, that's up to you. Where do you stand on this flick, man? And give me something good or bad. It doesn't matter. What is this?
I tried to spook you there. Thought you were gonna mess up the take. I was gonna mess up the take. I did. I just did. Anyway,
I just consider that a mess up right there.
Anyway, it was not a joke, but I actually totally blanked again.
Great.
Yeah, dude. I think this fluctuates between my second and third fave.
Mm-hmm.
It was one that I hated when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not hated, but I didn't like it. But I rewatched it like several years ago, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty funny. And this is actually the third time I watched it.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's really clever in its approach. Case in point, we're used to kind of like this raucous affair with Broken Lizard movies, and there's raucousness to be seen on the screen, certainly during the setup portion at the beginning, mm-hmm. but it's more character building, so you understand these characters, which is something I've always appreciated about Broken Lizard. They don't just put a situation and go, all right, now laugh. They actually put a situation out, then introduce you to the characters individually, and you get to know them and like them and or dislike them. And they do that here too. Only they approach this almost like, almost deadpan, close to deadpan, I should say. In terms of how slasher movies are, you have everything from the douchebag youngsters to your assortment of characters, each filling its particular type, to the mass killer, to the stalking shots and all that stuff. We get all of that set up, and it's again almost done very straightforward and straight faced, and the humor comes more from playing with what we understand and are used to as slasher tropes. One of my particular favorite sequences in this movie is, we're used to in a slasher movie where that there's the scene where somebody is accused of being the killer. And here they take that to like the nth level, where because everybody suspects everybody and everybody's got a motive, and it just points out how ridiculous slasher movies really fucking are. And that's kind of where this movie stands. It's almost satirical in the sense that every scene that you expect in a slasher movie is here, but then they take it so far that you're like, and it's not, sometimes it is like laugh out loud funny, but sometimes it's just like, dude, this is what you see. Yeah. It's almost like they're going, this is the garbage we like. Now watch it, And another great example is, we're always used to the villain coming back for one more scare. Well, here, it's fucking crap. He keeps on coming back. And, at first it's very much like a horror movie. It's just the guy got stabbed, but there he is stalking them again. But then it gets to the point where, like, by the end, there's just legs following them, So it takes it to a ridiculous level. And sometimes, yes, it's outrageous as legs following someone. But most of the time, it's very almost understated for a comedy of this nature anyway. So that's something I really appreciate about this movie, because if you're a fan of horror movies, this understands horror movies just as much as Scream understood horror movie or slasher movies, I should say, and did it in its own way. You know, it took the piss out of the genre in its own way by still being a legitimately good slasher movie of a serious nature. Well, this one does the exact same thing, and in a lot of ways, a lot more incisively, because these guys are not horror fans like Wes and company were. You know, I mean, horror fans in that vein anyway. These guys are primarily comedy guys. So they have that extra look in, you know. They don't have the rose tinted glasses that sometimes we do. So they can really get in there and go, this is horse hockey right here, you know. And that's kind of what this fucking shit does, you know. It really...
Horse hockey?
Now, horse hockey? How do you not know what hockey is?
Who says that?
Everybody that's ever fucking kicked a horse turd around?
I don't think anybody's ever said horse hockey.
Bet.
No, I'm not gonna bet.
Why? Because you lose?
No, because I don't have money.
Exactly. He lost already. But the point is...
I've never heard of horse hockey.
How? Literally live in Texas. Horse hockey kingdom.
What does that mean?
Well, to be fair, you hate fucking horse.
What does that even mean?
That's right, just a horse. What do you mean, the horse hockey, horse shit?
Oh, like kicking a turd around?
Yeah, like a puck, like a, you know, horse hockey.
Damn, homie, that's some freaking uniform-ass horse poop.
You never kicked a horse poop?
Who kicks horse poop?
Plenty of people kick horse poops.
Damn, homie. No.
Never kicked a horse poop in your life?
No.
Well, that's probably because you were traumatized by that humongous horse penis.
Damn, dude, he wanted to freaking bang me, dude.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't got no say on the horse hockey field, but because you avert yourself from horse interactions.
That's a good point.
That's all I'm saying here.
It's a good point. I'm going to start using horse hockey and everything.
Well, you should kick it first.
God damn it.
Anyway. What we have here is a flick that is a unique blend of two things, and it's both equally.
Yeah.
So that alone is going to alienate a particular portion of the crowd, you know.
Plus it's a beach horror movie.
Yeah.
Which that was a trend for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Which normally are feces, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And really, in all honesty, look, I like plenty of slashers. I'm not throwing all slashers under the bus. There's plenty of good ones. But it is my least favorite horror genre. And I think arguably the least creative horror genre. You know, so much so that when we get a creative one, we go hell yeah, slashers are the shit, aren't they? Because it's kind of rare to get a really good creative slasher. I think this is a really creative slasher. And it works as a horror movie just as well as it does as a comedy movie. In fact, I think it's more horror forward than it is comedy forward. You know, it's actually got legit kills in it. The stalker is pretty cool looking as far as that goes. You know, as far as designs for that type of character go.
He's got a good machete.
He's got a good machete. You know, we get the standard tropes of the genre checked off, but then in a very unique way. So what more could you ask for, you know? It's the reason I like a movie like Behind the Masks, you know, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. You know, there's a tongue-in-cheek, that's not as comedy forward, but there's definitely a tongue-in-cheek, a black comedic, you know, approach to that movie about how slashers work. This does the same thing, only a little bit more silly, you know? So, what do you think about how Broken Lizard's material blends with the horror here? Do you think it's a good seamless blend, or you think it's a jarring thing, or where you at?
I think at first, since it is kind of like not a slow build to the comedy, but it takes a little bit of time to get into the flow. At first, it feels a little weird, but once it hits a certain stride, it does bring the comedy forward as it goes along more, and it really grows into something funny. Not that it's not funny at first, but since it is kind of a setting up sequence.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is the humor, as far as the superficial, easy to spot, brazen humor, is heavier as the story builds up.
Yeah.
Because they do put in the effort to create a story and an atmosphere of its own, surprisingly. So the more brazen, Broken Lizard, fan-friendly stuff comes in later once everything's been established. But what they do establish first is, hey, look at this. And I think this is what kind of a lot of people missed, and or they were expecting this other stuff so much that they just, were like, what? Where is that? They establish kind of like the cleverness of what they're doing. A lot of the early gags are there. They're just said in quick snippets of dialogue or in the way something is set up. Like that contradicts what we expect or leans super heavily into what we expect, and that's the gag. You know what I'm saying? Which is, again, probably something that people weren't used to from the Lizards. So I really, really appreciate that, man, because it really tells you what kind of comedy this is before it eases in back into the Broken Lizard stuff. And when it does ease into the Broken Lizard stuff, it doesn't stop also bringing the this kind of incisive take on the tropes of slasher movies, and sometimes they're stuff that you'll easily recognize, like the classic killer stalking scene, where people try to get away and the car doesn't start again, taken to its limits. Oh, I can't even get the fucking key in the hole, and oh, now the fucking thing's not even moving, and all this stuff is just kind of like mixed into, creates a little broth of goodness that I can chomp into like a horse turd.
Damn, homie, broth of goodness?
Yeah, man, you hate my broth now?
I'm not a broth fan.
There you go, you're a good broth fan.
Okay.
Anyway, give me something, man.
I enjoy broth. It's pretty cool.
Obviously. Hating on broth all of a sudden.
Then my boy, what's his name? Billy Pax.
Billy Paxton, man.
He's just pretty great in this.
Coconut Pete.
Hilarious.
An obvious riff on those lame ass performers like Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, dude.
Which is, come on, bro. You like Jimmy Buffett. Sorry, I have to disown you. Not that I have anything you can inherit, but the point is, stinky.
On the Buffmeister?
You like Jimmy Buffett?
I don't give a shit about Jimmy
Exactly.
Buffett.
Another just Coconut Pete. So
good point. He hates him, actually.
Coconut Pete is like what Jimmy Buffett would be if he was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, Jimmy Buffett is not cool. So technically, Coconut Pete is not cool. But Billy Paxton does such a good job. First of all, it's good to see Bill Paxton in a role that's kind of... I mean, he's always kind of a comic relief type of character. Well, not always, but a lot of the times he's a very comic relief character in more serious movies. But here he's just like a straight up, walking gag. For a while, he's kind of like the funniest thing in the movie, because the character stuff is all being set up and in such a deadpan way. So Bill Paxton really stands out. I agree.
William Paxton.
Paxton?
Yeah, there you go.
That's his name. Good one, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking horse hockey right there.
Shit, dude. Firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, clearly one cylinder being at work here. Speaking of cylinders, my cylinders were fired all night long for the cast of hotties. It's typical with a Broken Lizard movie. They bring in an assortment of bodacious babes, 95% of which will show their tatas.
Yeah.
So that's always something you can expect from a Broken Lizard movie. And they do it here, and because it's a beach, damn isn't warranted. Unfortunately, we don't get to see our lead female here is played by the gorgeous Brittany Daniels, who, of course, a lot of people got to know, as Joe Dirt's girlfriend, which is like, damn, boy, how'd you get that? Answer, he wouldn't get that in real life. That's what I'm saying here. And neither would our main character here, but we're rolling with it.
Shit, dude, they give the fatty a hottie?
Yeah, the fat guy is the lead character here, and he's the one we're cheering for, and that in itself is pretty unusual. And it's not some sort of agenda thing. It was just like, let's put the fact. Why? Because it goes against type.
Yeah.
So, yet another thing to appreciate. Definitely the entire Broken Lizards crew, it's surprising their range and strengths with whatever role they choose to take up,
They go from complete asshats in one movie to, like, really likable.
Yeah. It's really fascinating to see how they can pull off these different characters and make them characters that you want to be around.
Yes.
Yeah. Even when they're complete asses.
Yeah, like Guy.
Yeah.
Wiki.
Yeah, so it's always amusing to see the guys do their thing. Here are, spoiler if you haven't seen it, the ultimate reveal.
Oh, so this is interesting because I actually forgot
who the killer
was, and it's like a thing that every time I watch it, I actually forget who the killer is. So the whole time, and because they play up the whole mystery thing to a almost enraging degree, culminating in the scene with that dude, it's like, oh, that's who you are. I shouldn't. I should have. I was actually like, damn it, who is it?
Yeah.
Sadly,
I had actually forgotten too for a good spell of the movie, which is super cool, because it just made me enjoy the movie all the more. Not that remembering makes you not enjoy it, but it just showed me how well constructed the movie is. Because even though they take it to extremes, the whodunit scene where they're all accusing each other, I love that scene because everybody's reasons are so typical of a slasher movie where you could see every one of those reasons being the dumbass reason something is happening. But, it really stood out for me. And then when they do finally reveal it, even then they play with this, a ridiculous idea of why it's all happening. And it works, man. It works. I don't understand how it works, but they made it work. And I gotta say though, Eric Stolhansky, the lizard that plays the bad guy here, he's pretty good, man. You could easily see him be an actual, psycho in a movie, it's always fascinating to see the lizards do their thing and just really get into the grain of the characters that they end up portraying because they're super fucking fun to watch. Period. So anyway, anything you want to add there?
I need more wieners.
Definitely need more wieners. Tucked wieners in it though.
True.
It's totally worth it.
But I feel like we always get to see at least the tip of the ball sack. Or wiener head.
True.
And they did us dirty with no wiener heads.
Yeah. Look, there was a dildo in it. Does that count?
Nah, dude, it's gotta be real, and it's gotta be Jay Chandrasekhar's because he always shows his ass and ding.
That's true, man. Jay Chandrasekhar, by the way, my favorite lizard, even in this movie, So put that in your pipe. Who's your favorite lizard?
It's probably him.
Are you just saying that because you don't remember their names?
I don't remember any of their names. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hating.
Well, I know their names. I just don't know the who they correspond to for some reason.
Kevin Heffernan.
Other than the fat guy, yeah, his name's the fat guy.
Corey, you gotta know the fat guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
it's kind of weird.
Chandrasekhar has always been my favorite. He is the director of this, and he shows quite the proficient eye. If he ever wanted to Jordan Peele and just direct a horror movie, he could. You know what I'm saying? He could easily, just transition and make a much more serious product. Because it does work in that fucking way. So, super, super cool, I think, myself. Any last words before we get on to the final score and, rating?
I feel like in a world where beach horror movies were a thing, I'm glad there's one that I can actually watch without wanting to murk myself. Piñata Survival Island style.
Speaking of piñatas, yeah, that was a piece of shit.
Freaking shitty, dude.
Speaking of piñatas, though, House of the Dead's the worst. Damn.
Nah, piñata was worse, dude.
I don't know, man. Yeah, you're right.
Because it was boring. Because it was hella boring.
At least House of the Dead was like laughably bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, beach horror sucks is what I'm getting, but this one doesn't, surprisingly. We do get an assortment of great kills. Like the gore is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The villain's pretty cool.
Some hilarious dummies.
Hilarious dummy effects used very purposely to look fake. I remember that specifically from hearing the guys talk about it. They were like, dude, we went for the fakest shot. So the balance they strike here is pretty fucking awesome, man. At least for me as a horror fan and as a fan of the Lizards, man. Still my favorite comedy troupe. I wish they would get back together and do more stuff, but Hollywood's a bitch. That's all I can say about that. Anyway, final thoughts on the score relative to films of its type, which in all honesty, horror comedies, there's a lot of them out there, so we have something to compare to. Look, I'm going to put it this way. The best way to get into this movie is to realize what you're getting into. And what you're getting into is a very self-aware dissection of the slasher genre that just happens to have broken lizard humor in it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why this movie is so awesome. If you can realize that from the get-go and not expect this or that you would normally expect, then you'll understand why this fucking movie kicks ass and is really fucking funny. The best way I could put it is there is a scene at the beginning where they're talking about the legend of Machete Phil on the island, you know, and they really, you know, like in a typical slasher movie, they're talking up this legend and laying down the story, and everybody's rapt with attention. And the guy that was bullied, you're Jason in this movie, if you will. The guy that was bullied was named Phil Coletti, and it builds up this story, and the punchline goes over a lot of people's head.
Yeah.
You know, the punchline is when they reveal his name is Machete Phil. You know, the punchline is his name should have been Machete Coletti, but it's not. You know, so it's real subtle with the way it approach, and it all has to do how it's playing off what we expect out of slasher movies. So that's the only way I could kind of approximate what you're getting into here for the large majority of the movie. A lot of clever wink, nudge type shit with a lot of raunchy shit thrown into the mix too. So anyway, it's a fun ass time. It's really cool to see the guys do their thing. I love it. I gotta give it, in the horror comedy scale, I gotta give it a fucking 9, dude. I love this movie. Give it to me.
I feel like I was defeated by the film because I didn't know who the killer was, and it was actually bugging me because I've seen it before. That being said, that actually kind of made for a more enjoyable sequence. Sequence? I used that wrong.
Sequences even.
There you go.
Saved you.
That's what I meant.
Saved you from that horse pucky you were walking
It's
into.
definitely not because my brain is melting out my nostrils currently. That being said, what the... Damn, homie, what the hell is that shit? Horse puck in my throat? This is still, like I said, it's not my favorite Broken Lizard. That being said, it is an interesting balance that they hit. And, it's weird because, like, it takes its time to become what you would expect from them, but it never loses what it kind of sets up in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, impressive feat. Also impressive feat, my own.
Why? Because they hold up your
Yeah,
gargantuan size?
Sometimes I think, like, damn, homie, these feet is working hard.
His feet should have been, like, under some... Nope. I was going to do a 9/11 joke. Stopped right there.
Damn, homie.
Anyway, score.
Interesting fact, 9/11 is my current weight.
Hashtag facts.
Damn,
fat facts.
Damn, I completely derailed myself.
And score.
Oh, yeah. I'll give it like a... What'd you give it?
I give it a 9 on the horror comedy scale.
I'll give it like an 8.5 on the horror comedy scale. On the Broken Lizard scale, I'll give it an 8.
Hating, she said.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just saying that. I said she said.
I feel like
don't shoot the messenger.
I don't have a 10 is the thing. They're all 9s.
I'm waiting for the 10 because
I'm waiting for the 10 too.
I'm waiting for Broken Lizard to do more stuff, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, I don't know if their deal with I think it was Fox they had to deal with. I forget who. Yeah, Fox. You know, it kind of just fell apart for some fucking reason. And, you know, I mean, if you're not making money, you got to kind of go back to doing normal stuff.
Yeah.
I know Kevin Heffernan and I think Steve Lemmy are on a show together.
Yeah. I think they had a podcast a while back.
Yeah, they
Two
did.
of them.
I don't know if that's over
I don't know,
with
that's
or
still
not.
a thing, yeah.
I know, like Stolhansky and stuff went back to just normal lives. And Paul Soter, I think too. But anyway, hopefully they'll come back. They are friends still, and you know, we want to see them again, man. You know, I wish Super Troopers would have been a much bigger success. It was successful enough, but I wish it would have been a much bigger success because it would have warranted for people to go, you know, studios to go, oh yeah, those guys that everybody loved. But it is what it is, and then we at least have a good assortment of films that they presented to us. And this is definitely one of them. Check it out if you haven't seen it. And if you're a horror fan or a Lizards fan, reevaluate this or see it for the first time the way we suggest that you did, and you might appreciate this as much as we do. Anyway, tell us what you think about this. Hit like, share, subscribe, and we're out.